Welcome in, everybody. Wherever you are, however you may be listening, this is your Wednesday wrap-up. I got my man Herb here. How's it going, man?
I fixed a bad cup of coffee to start, but I'm still going to drink it. It's still going to get me through it.
That's the worst.
This is not good. You
That
know what?
is
The show
always
is
a
going to be
bummer.
much better. So if you see me go, it's not because of anything you said. Okay.
Oh, man. Hey, was the intro choppy on your end? Because it was like a PowerPoint on my side.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Right on. So at least it's at least StreamYard's been consistent.
Yeah. Well, it just drank my coffee, so it's really not his fault. Sorry about that.
Go in.
What's up, man? Trying to fool me again, but that's fine. I'm on to you now.
Yeah, no, I don't know what it is. The intros on StreamYard, like they need to fix their stuff because it's been glitchy this whole week. So
nice.
Yeah, good times. Good times.
Why is our Wednesdays like a Monday sometimes? Why? Like, what is going on?
Well, so Monday, the last 3 Mondays in a row, the first show intro doesn't play. Like you'll hit it, and then it'll be black screen and says error, and you're just like, okay, so you don't want to work first thing on a Monday. I get it. Right. Like I can appreciate it, but we all got stuff to do. Right.
Please, if you don't mind.
Right. Like I went through the trouble to make the thing. The least you could do is play it. Good times. Good times. So lots going on. Obviously, you know, we have the draft starting tomorrow. You got the NBA in the middle of their playoffs. So, I mean, let's jump into this. We're going to talk a little Ja Morant this morning. You know, he's supposed to be the Grizzlies' leader, right? Like he's supposed to be their guy. And, you know, a couple of years ago, he has issues with actual guns on, you know, Instagram Live showing weapons, right? And so then you fast forward into this year, he does finger guns to the, you know, Golden State bench. The NBA is like, hey, can't do it, right? But it's just a warning. Literally the next game, he does it again, right? He gets a $75,000 fine. So then he changes his celebration to pulling the pin of a grenade and throwing it into the crowd and covering his ears. Somehow that's better.
Yeah.
He doesn't get in trouble for that because he says it's taking the words out of my mouth and then blocking out the noise, which is the most ridiculous thing ever, right? Everybody knows what he's doing, except the NBA, apparently. So now you fast forward, we're in the playoffs. They are getting absolutely cooked by OKC. They're down 55, and all you see is their bench like goofing around and joking, and that's just not what I want to see out of my bench, and certainly not out of what's supposed to be my leader.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to be over there steaming, right? But I want to see you locked in.
Right.
Right. Like, I don't want to see you goofing around and not being serious when you're getting blown out by 55. And it's not like it got better, right? They lost by 51. So, I mean, they got absolutely crushed. And all he said in the post game was like, oh, yeah, we're never going to play that bad again. And technically they didn't play that bad. But in game 2, they lose by 20.
Yeah.
Right. So they've been outscored by 70 points.
Yeah.
There's only been 2 games.
Yeah. And I think they played 4 times in the regular season. And they lost all of them by double digits. So this is a team that's absolutely just smoking. And, you know, look, I was ready, you know, because I was looking at this stuff. And I was like, I know where this segment's going. I'm going to try to defend them a little bit on the lag. Because, you know, during blowouts, there's always that one shot of that one guy. But I'm like.
It's the whole bench, though.
Yeah, I was like, Ja. Well, Ja just kind of. He just almost makes me think of a Kevin Durant-esque guy who just wants to go out and play and do what he wants and not have anybody, you know, say anything. And I looked up some stuff. I'm like, what other people think about his leadership style. Oh, he leads by example. No, that's not true. So don't say that.
I mean, he does, which is why the whole bench was just goofing around.
It's just, yeah, it's almost like a guy, and there's people in there, oh, y'all just looking for anything to be mad at him about. Dude, he put himself in this situation. If somebody said, Herb, we're going to pay you $36 million next year. We got a couple rules. Okay, what's the rules? Don't be on Instagram Live flashing guns. Hello, okay, what else? Don't be drinking alcohol in public. Okay, what else? That's kind of the big two. I'm like, wait, I can have guns at home. Yeah, that's fine. I could drink at home. Yeah, and you're giving me $36 million. Yeah, feel like there's got to be another catcher. Nah, man, go out, play ball, have fun. And Josh just wants this persona that's not the person he grew up to be. You don't see it usually happen this way. Usually if you grow up in that lifestyle, you get money. You're like, let me try to leave that lifestyle. He was didn't grow up in that lifestyle, got money, let me portray that lifestyle. It makes no sense.
It's weird.
It makes no sense. And then, so yes, eyeballs are going to be on you, man. And even without other stuff, you're the leader of that team.
Yep.
How you act in a 50-point blood is going to be broadcast. The finger guns, it's going to be broadcast. I guess I don't know what his end goal is sometimes. I do think it's like a Kevin Durant thing. I just want to go out and play and everybody leave me alone. That's not how
he's not good enough for that. Don't get me wrong, amazing player, right?
Right.
But the problem is he's doing something that you saw from KD and Westbrook, right? But Westbrook had and still has really an unbelievable motor. No one can say anybody plays harder than that guy.
Right.
He may not play well, but nobody plays harder. Right. And then when you look at KD, if he had any of that dog in him, generational talent, he just, kind of doesn't. Right. But when you look at Ja, he's doing those types of things without having that level of talent. Yeah. He's a great player, no question. But you can't do all of this distraction and be above average, right? Yeah. You're going to find yourself out of the league at some point because your athleticism will start to wane. And if your off the field stuff is a big enough distraction, they'll move on.
Yeah.
We've watched it in every single sport. So, it's a situation where he could definitely shorten his career by just doing dumb stuff and not being you don't even have to be a great leader. Just try and stay locked in a game.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And to even further that point, because I know there's a lot of people out there would probably say, they thought Ja was maybe more skilled than Westbrook. Well, Westbrook's got average triple-double for a season. Whether you're a love or hate, Westbrook's one of the most polarizing people out there, right? Sure. But it's like you said, high motor, average triple-double for a season, has an MVP, has a finals appearance.
Yep.
Now you don't have any of this stuff yet. So you can argue all day long talent level. But at some point, we want to see what have you got your team to. And that's the bottom line.
Well, he's going to get them to a sweep here in a couple of games.
Oh, yeah, this one is. For a team to dominate you this much all the time. And look, OKC is the best team in the league. That's fine.
Sure.
You're the 8th seed. You just got through the play-in just to get to this point. We expect you to get swept, maybe only win one game. That's fine. But you sometimes have to look at what your bigger picture is. Are you okay with being swept by this team? Are you just saying, hey, we're not in their league? Are you going to get there? If you're the superstar that you think you are, don't you think you at least got to steal a game somewhere, right?
He's got to have them close. That's the biggest thing. You can't get bombed by 50.
Yeah.
Right. And then turn around and get bombed by 20. Even if they're a class above you, right? They're an elite team and you guys are okay. You guys can still play hard enough to make it close.
Right.
So, if your close game is losing by 20, that's not awesome. Yeah. That shows you there's too many teams in the playoff system for the NBA.
Well, that's a whole other thing. But yes, that is absolutely right, by the way. So
I mean, yeah.
You're getting what, 20 of 30 teams at this point?
Exactly.
Have at least a shot at it. That's already too much. But
if you have more than half the league, what are we doing?
Yeah. Because now you're at the point where, like, if you don't make the finals, like, what is your team even doing? I mean, make the playoffs. What is your team even doing?
Yeah.
Which is why teams like the Bulls kind of survive. They're like, look, we're just going to make the play-in every year and say we made the playoffs and, hey, we're good, right? No, but it's fine.
I mean, but it's kind of a thing. I think what's wild to me with the NBA when it comes to that end of it is you can win the chip and maybe be fired in a year or two.
Yes.
You could consistently miss it and keep your job. I'm just like, I don't like, and I mean the playoffs. You can consistently miss the playoffs. You keep your job. You can have a rocky season after winning a ring. It's a wrap. It's like, I don't understand that.
Yeah. It tells you there's more that goes on. What's up, Chad? Oh, the NBA is just crazy all over as far as that goes. And some of it, though, goes into your owner expectations. If you're missing every year, I mean, the Clippers did it for 20, 30 years,
Sure.
Be bad. Draft a guy. When it comes time to pay him, let him go.
Yeah.
Draft a guy, have your season ticket holder, your salary is always low, you're making money. And I think Travis was your guy that said it. There's a lot of, because he said it for NFL owners. There's a lot of NFL owners, period, that are okay with missing the playoffs, maybe making a playoff, game here or there, and just making that money in that bottom line. And they don't care if their team's competitive or not.
Well, yeah.
Competitive usually means you have to go all in.
That's my Seattle Mariners. Like, they are the masters of that platform. They're like, oh yeah, we're going to just miss by like 1 to 5 games, but we're going to be competitive enough to keep people in the stands.
Yeah.
It's like, that is super annoying.
Yeah. But the owner's making money, the valuation of the team goes up, and they're just fine. They're like, okay, we're good. So
yeah,
a lot of teams do it.
Like, I get it from a business standpoint, because you never pay the big contract, right? So, I mean, you're doing it the way that's the most profitable. So I can appreciate the thought. But at the same time, when I look at it as a fan, they have the same amount of playoff appearances since 2000 as the Sonics.
Yeah.
Who went away in 2005. I mean, that's a problem.
Yeah. So, but you know what? The flip side of it, the problem is when the Clippers got new ownership and that guy started spending heavily, the fortunes didn't change. Then it's like all the bad luck they had built up over 30 years stuck with them. So I know there's a lot of, and this is what they do, right? Look, that one guy tried this one thing and it didn't work, so none of us have to do it. So there's like a lot of franchises who watched that and said, I'm not spending money because the one guy messed it up. I'm like, really? This is what we're doing now? It must be nice to have billions and have a team and say, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I care, sometimes I don't. Because I feel like you and I are the types that if we owned a team, we're like studying charts and looking at stuff and like, boom.
Yeah, I want to win.
Oh, yeah, I want to win. You're like, Herb, it's 3 Can we talk about this at like a normal hour? But that would be us, But I think a lot of owners aren't fans necessarily. Although you have the Jerry Jones side of it when the owners are huge fans, and then you go in the opposite direction. So where do you find that middle ground?
Yeah, I mean, the problem with Jerry Jones is he doesn't let his football guys do football things, right?
Agreed.
And admittedly, like I would still want him in the draft room. He drafts really well.
Yeah.
He needs someone else in his ear for free agency, and he needs to jump on one of Blue Origin's rockets and go visit other planets while season's going.
Thank you.
But he can be there for draft day.
Yeah.
He seems to do that well.
Yeah. Talent acquisition has never been his problem. Long-term winning has been his problem. And but we're kind of going somewhere else. I didn't know if you wanted to go there, but yeah, it's just an issue. Sorry, I attacked all owners in the middle of the job.
No, you're I mean,
but
again, the plan for the show is fairly loose because it's literally wrapping up sports for the week, right? So I mean, anytime we go on a tangent, it's still kind of on topic.
That's what I'm good at.
Since we did switch over to football, interesting that Shedeur speculation for draft is all over the place.
Yes.
Right? Like he could be number 2. He could be, I've heard him as low as 25, which is crazy to me now. There's even been some talk that he may fall out of the first round, which I don't see that being a real thing.
No.
What's interesting is this morning, Tom Pelissero, worst informal interview I've ever been in my life. He's so entitled, takes unnecessary sacks, never plays on time. He has a horrible body language, blames his teammates, and the biggest thing is he's not that good. That was an NFL assistant coach on Shedeur Sanders. That's rough.
Yeah. I thought this came out right after during the combine too. I thought somebody said either something similar or this one around.
So there was a different quote, similar-ish.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like, man. So then feeding into he's so entitled, they retire his number.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Like, why are we retiring a number? One, you didn't do anything there. And at the same time, there were better guys on that team, like on Colorado's team through the years that were better than Shedeur. Their numbers aren't retired.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to compare other schools because, other schools have different policies, and if we're talking about retiring numbers at the college level, everybody be wearing triple digits at this point.
Yes.
So, I mean, like, that doesn't make any sense anyway, why we're retiring college numbers. But he didn't do anything. They got to a bowl game and got crushed.
Yeah. In 2 years. So there's a lot to unpack, I guess, with the Shedeur thing. The first part of it is Shedeur, because of who your dad is, you're under a microscope. Okay. You're also a quarterback, will put you under a bigger microscope. So there's a level of arrogance, you like from your quarterbacks, but not entitlement. It can't shift into that. And you've heard it from too many names. That's why I was like, I know I've heard similar already. It's just a bad look, especially for a guy who, to be honest, people are still trying to figure out, do they like his game? Was it a weak Colorado offensive line? Or what do they actually think about him? You're almost like looking like a Aaron Rodgers type slide where the second team is like, I don't know if I need him, and then everybody else is just like, I don't really want to reach for a quarterback, even though obviously that was the mistake. I'm not comparing.
He's Bo Callahan. Why is he sliding?
But it's just the whole situation is weird. So I said this the other night. Deion Sanders saved Colorado. I fully believe that. I fully believe the Big 12 took them on because of that. So if you want to do something for Deion, I totally get that, because it's been bad before that time.
Yeah.
But as far as
something,
anything for Deion. He's and anybody who's like, oh, he didn't do that much. You guys just don't remember what Colorado was like 2 years ago. Nobody was watching their games.
They were 1-11.
And it had been 30 years since something happened. If you wanted to retire somebody's number, go ahead and retire your Heisman Trophy winners number, who played both ways and was phenomenal and could be a top 2, top 3 pick, even though he's not a quarterback. I get all that, right? But Shedeur, okay, you're like he passed, he set passing records, but there was nothing amazing about their season. Like, so you retire the number of a guy who made one bowl game in 2 years, didn't win it, no playoff appearances, no Big 12 title. It just there's a lot wrong there. Yeah. And if you read what former players are saying about it, former Colorado players, they're like, look, we understand what he did and it's great. He's like, but why is he jumping the line? There's several players, and I'm not a Colorado history buff, but they're naming them and they're like, look, there's a whole lot of players that are on this list of people should be retired. Yes. Why is the guy that just left jumping the list? And that's what they said. So I agree with that. If I was going to do one, Travis Hunter would have got it. But I don't. If Shedeur was Shedeur Hunter instead of Shedeur Sanders, we wouldn't even be talking about it. He wouldn't be in this category. But they're doing it because of Deion, and that's just, do something for Deion. that I feel like he deserves it. I feel like every accolade, obviously in the future they're going to have to prove something win-wise, but he's been phenomenal for Colorado so far.
Yeah, I mean, when you're talking about Dion, no question, right? He saves this franchise from a 1-11 record, shakes absolutely everything up, right? Different coaches, gets almost every player out of there. They ended up with 4 wins the next year in arguably one of the best years in Pac-12 history as far as the strength of the entire conference. Then they move over to the Big 12 and they get to a bowl game, but they get smacked. And that's my biggest thing is we're talking about, Shedeur, like he's amazing. So you retire his number, but you don't retire guys like Cordell Stewart, who was a monster at Colorado. Right. So that's where I have a hard time. Like Travis Hunter, sure, Heisman Trophy winner. If you're going to start retiring numbers now, I guess, sure, okay.
Right.
But you mean to tell me that what Shedeur did in the 2 years he was there was better than what Cordell did during his career?
Right.
Like I feel like we're missing something here. So obviously this is because his last name is Sanders, not because of what he did on the field. So I don't know. Like, I'm not a big fan of retiring numbers in college anyway, because again, if you're looking at schools like Alabama and Miami and, Oklahoma, stuff like that, it's like, okay, well, everybody's going to be in triple digits now because we've retired every single number.
Basically. Yeah. Especially in your heyday, you can just start, cycling through them. The other thing with college with so many players have to, like, I'm looking at our A-Day game and I'm looking at how many jerseys belong to 2 people, one defensive, one offensive. And I'm like, yeah, that's just too much once you start getting into that, anyway. So no.
Exactly.
And then, like you said, go through any team's heyday. Like, look at Georgia's run that they just went through, probably retiring half the team. Like I said, Alabama under Saban, no jerseys left. All right, coming out here is number 217, Herb Ragsdale. It's like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? Yeah. So,
or if you follow Colorado's path, you're retiring not your best guys, but like some of the good guys. So, I mean, that really could get through numbers quick.
Yes. And it's just a bad look all over, man. Hey, so what? They retired his jersey. How'd he do? 0-1 in bowl games. Oh, but it was a playoff game? No, just
a bowl game. Yeah.
Oh.
And it's not even like it was a conference championship or anything like that. Like, they didn't do that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just, I don't know. And then timing of it's weird too. Usually if you're retiring a number, so Raj, it's years later, right? And they do this like right after.
Raj. You had to watch I did a thing last night where I did a Raj the movie. And I posted pictures for everybody. I had Raj as, Chris Tucker, his wife is Beyonce. And then when it came time for me, I put up a picture of, Eddie Murphy is in orbit looking. It was a bad picture. So he's having fun with it.
That is great.
Man. No, but what you're saying is, like you're trying to do this immediately as soon as the season's done. We're not even like, they usually let your seasons marinate and they think it over. And it's like there was a rush. Hey, he just left yesterday. Let's retire his number. Like, what?
Yeah, because they retired his number on the 19th.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, usually if there's a number retirement, it's either after their NFL career is done or, like it's usually years removed. And this is like, oh yeah, you finished a losing effort, a few days ago. Let's just retire this number now.
Right.
Just bizarre.
Yep.
So sticking with the football theme here, sort of.
Oh Lord.
We got Shannon Sharp
doing
some dumb stuff yet again. You know, it was bad enough that he went Instagram Live hooking up with some chick. Now he's getting sued for 50 mil.
50 million.
Which is wild. He is, he's like 54? Something like that. And so he's hooking up with a mattress actress off of OnlyFans who's 19. She gets a lawyer that was the same one that went after a couple of different celebrities. And so now he's released all of their
text
messages, right? And I mean, man, like, what is he doing? I mean, besides the fact that age gap is wild and brings a different different feel to him calling himself Unk.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a slippery slope of like, how long have you guys been doing this as well? So that's man. And they're I don't know. I've always said this, man. When you have money, there's just ways that you could. That there's a lot of folks with eyes on you, and there's a lot of other stuff going on. So you could be a little more selective in what you're going after. But then, this whole saga is just, first off, you hear the allegations, and you got to take that seriously as soon as it comes out. You're like, oh my god.
Oh yeah, of course.
But when I saw that number, I was like, 50 million.
Yeah.
Good Lord. And then most time the lawyers are like, hey, just shut up and let me handle it. And Shannon Sharp was like, hell no.
Right. Exactly.
Here's my phone. Photo dump, image dump, text message. I mean.
Well, and then he comes out and has his, his media release, right?
Right.
That it's just, what are we doing, man? Like, there's so many easier paths. I mean, maybe it's because he has all the money and he, wanted to target this person. I don't want to use target because that makes it sound like he's a predator, but
right.
But I mean, at the same time, you're just like, dude, like there's plenty of them that are out there. Like I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't either. And it's a lot of thoughts I can't say out here because they've started posting her and stuff like this. But I was like, dude, you're Shannon Sharp. There's other ways to go about it, and there's better out there for you. It doesn't make sense to me.
I feel like there's a million groupies that he could have went after that wouldn't have had this drama behind it.
Yes, basically. So, but you aim for certain things, and this is kind of what comes of it. So, this is going to be a saga now. This is going to be drawn out. The fact that he hasn't been pulled off of air, though, is very telling because the network's just basically we don't believe any of this, I guess. Because usually once you hear that word, hey, man, you're off shows for a minute. We'll just let us sort it out, Yeah. The fact that he wasn't is almost a stance.
I think it's because the price tag is so outlandish that this looks like somebody that's just targeting celebrities.
Yeah.
Right. And then the particular, lawyer that's involved, also is one that targets, so it takes credibility away from the situation.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's again with him in some sort of off-air issue.
Yes. Yes. And at some point, what is it,
There you go. Exactly. You got to go for the real life ones, not the OnlyFans action.
Yeah. And can we also say this on a on a more serious note? Every time a girl like this does this, that's what I was laughing at, Roger. Local Applebee's. Yeah. All you do is you take away from the women who are actually under pressure like this or under these situations.
Yeah.
This is why they don't come out, is because people like you come out with a $50 million price tag, and then we see all the text messages and it muddies the whole water, and we're just like, you make it look more like a cash grab. And there are women who are in these serious situations who watch this situation unfold and like, I guess I can't speak up now. Like, all you do is harm the overall cause. I just don't. I don't get the whole thing.
Well, and there's nothing that makes this look like a cash grab more than her text message saying that he needs to give her $25,000 for each butt cheek.
Yes.
I'm just like, man, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, on what planet did you think this wasn't going to look like a cash grab?
Basically.
Now that you go and sue him.
Yeah.
Especially in the particular career path you're on.
Yeah. Which, by the way, Shannon, you see that text message, and that's when it should have ended and never should have started. But you see that text message, like, oh, hey, block. Like, that's it. You can't think that this was all you could get, Shannon. Come on, man.
Well, I mean, to that point, it's funny that he's paying for OnlyFans. like, that's hilarious in its own way.
I don't get it. That man could walk down the street and have women just, I don't get it. I don't get the whole saga. I don't get the strategy is interesting to say the least. I wouldn't want all that stuff out there. Did the lawyer okay it, or did Shannon just say, I'm doing this? And he was like, I don't advise this. Well, that's what's happening.
I mean, obviously Shannon does Shannon. Like, that's
true that.
Yeah, I mean, he does kind of whatever he wants. He does have the stack of cash to be able to do whatever you want.
Right.
So, yeah, man, I don't know. It's just a wild situation. And interestingly, not that far removed from the last one.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, dude, you need to figure your off-screen life out, because these things are going to start to affect your on-screen. Because even if it's baseless, if there's enough of them, networks get tired of having to have you go and put a press release out, even if there's nothing behind it.
Yeah.
So, not saying you got to keep it in your pants, but you probably need to find some higher caliber people.
Yeah.
And maybe put your phone on a table somewhere.
Yes. Haven't we said this several times, because every team has this? You don't think ESPN has a guy?
A fixer?
That's just, that's what they do. Shannon's like, look, man, need some company night. We got you, Shannon. Like, don't worry. This whole situation is handled, Yeah. I guarantee it's out there. So I don't get it. I don't get it. But the whole situation just looks ridiculous. And it's funny how everybody's on it. He's, oh, good for you, Shannon. Others like, Shannon, do you think this makes you look good? So I don't know.
I mean, I don't know how you would think this makes you look good. Yeah. I mean, what it does do, I would bet that OnlyFans stock jumped a bunch because they're like, man, even this dude making, 50 plus million,
is on
he's
there.
On here. So, I mean, hey, way to further the platform, I guess. But
good job, Shannon.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It seems like there would be easier, less expensive paths.
I'm with you on that one. Oh my goodness gracious. J-Bake on fire this morning.
That actually was a narrative for a long time. So, maybe some of it's on purpose.
But at a $50 million price tag, there's easier ways to prove it.
I mean,
look, the Instagram live, that was enough. Okay. Like, you could have just stopped there.
Yeah, I don't know. Steelers moving on from well, that's because you're still going to get Rodgers to come in and destroy your organization, so that'll be fun.
Yeah. I feel like they wanted to move on Pickens for a while. He was just all they had, and so they kept him around. But you can't think that Tomlin wants to put up with Pickens for the long term.
Well, the biggest thing is you have two of the exact same dude.
Yeah,
you have Pickens and DK. Both are hotheads. Both don't run great routes. They run go balls. So unless you're getting a guy like Rodgers who can sling the rock, or if you would have kept Russ, it makes sense. But if you're going to get somebody, there's been speculation that they might make a play for Kirk Cousins. That would be a horrible fit.
Yeah.
Because Kirk actually likes to move the ball around. And if you got two go ball guys in average O-line, this is not going to go very well.
No.
So it's not a big shock. Plus, Pickens is going to want a lot of money, right? Yeah. Is next year is contract year, or is next year his last year of his rookie? I don't remember offhand.
Yeah, I don't either.
Chad, do you remember what the contract is, or his rookie deal is?
It runs through the 2025 season.
Okay, so this is the final year.
Yeah, so he's currently in the final year. Yep.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, you might be right. They may be moving off him because there's no way they're going to be able to pay him and DK.
No. Or want to be honest, you know?
Well, I wouldn't want to.
Yeah. And the Steelers have a history of moving off of wide receivers when they feel like, okay, this is it. So, you know, and somebody will take a chance on Pickens, but you honestly, attitude-wise, could see this as like one of those out of the league in 4 or 5 years kind of guys, just because Tomlin probably kept a pretty, tight leash on the whole thing.
Yeah.
You get another, head coach and it's a little more volatile.
Starts
I can
like
just see that one going, So
yeah.
The attitude is just terrible. The body language is terrible. The interviews are terrible. It's just like, hey, we're living off this talent of great catches, but there's no like, hey, Pickens runs great routes, or hey, it's like none of the other stuff. Pickens is a great leader. It's just like, no, every once in a while he'll make a really great contested catch, but you got to put up with so much more to get to that point.
Well, and that's the problem with DK. That's why I was saying, for the last year and a half that they should trade him here in Seattle, because it was just like, yeah, elite speed, crazy, stature, right? As far as athletic build, but tons of after the play penalties and doesn't run a great route tree. And you're just like, okay, well, he kills as many drives as he extends. Like what's the allure? So then you see the Steelers give him $150 million. You're like, wow, good luck with that. Like, I hope,
right.
I hope it doesn't work out because, still mad about that Super Bowl, but but no, it's just one of those where you're like, okay, all of the after the play, and it's not to say that DK isn't like a good dude, right? Like he actually is a pretty decent interview and does stuff in his community, so it's not like he's a douche of a human or anything, but when it comes to helping your team win, maybe Tomlin can reel him in, but he got worse every year he was in Seattle. Right. So you pair that with a guy that's exactly the same guy in Pickens, that just seems like chaos. And then, for them to still be in the market for Rodgers, which is hilarious to me because they've given him like 5 different deadlines and he hasn't hit any of them, but they're still like, well, we're still kind of in. Like,
how to say we don't have a plan without saying we don't have a plan. This is what the Steelers are doing. Hey, all right, guys, let's go to plan B, and everyone in the room's going, plan what now?
Right? Exactly.
Really, you're not drafting a guy, so that's not.
They might.
I'm saying, you're not drafting a guy that you want to start this next year with the team that you have built, especially with where you're drafting. They've been linked to like Milrow or maybe like you don't want one of those guys starting next year.
Well, you don't want the guys that are on your roster to start either, though.
Yeah. Well, I'm a huge Mason Rudolph. No, I can say that with a straight face.
Yeah, based on what's on the roster currently, if you drafted Dart would start.
Yeah, unfortunately. I'd so like throwing in a rookie guy with that volatile roster and a defense that's built to win now. Like, that's an unimaginable amount of pressure on Dart his first year. So I'm going to see Tomlin, okay, so keep Pickens happy, but also keep DK happy. And they're like, whoa, what? I just got here. Like, what are we doing?
But also don't get sacked every 5 seconds.
Yes.
And but we're not really going to have a great offensive line. It's going to be okay. Be ready to throw on the run.
Yes. Yes. And the last time we drafted a running back, we didn't keep him. So we're starting this other guy. So look, just good luck, Yeah,
no, it's I don't know what they're doing. Like usually I can figure out kind of where teams are headed. You're looking at the situation. You're like, okay, if they do these couple of things, it makes what they're doing makes sense. You look at the Steelers and you're like, you do realize that that guy that receives the snap is like an important piece of the team, right? Like,
yeah. And they're like, you mean middle linebacker? No. What off? Oh, okay. Tell me more about this position. Like, have you ever seen a team? Yeah. Well, have you ever seen a team that's built to win now and a defense built to win now who has not solved, like you said, the most important position, and also spent the last half of the whole last year chasing every wide receiver that was available and being rebuffed by you almost feel like, look, we didn't really want DK, but we had to get somebody, because we've been trying so hard. So we just went with one. Even if he mirrors what we already have, it's fine because this is what we want.
Except there were guys out there like that you could have got. Yeah. Like you probably could have got a Devontae. You probably could have got Amari. You could have got any number of these guys that would have been way cheaper.
Right.
Than DK. I mean, the DK grab made it look like they're just trying to sell jerseys.
Yeah. It was definitely the splashier of the things, for sure. So, because you probably could have got with you some Amari and Devontae under what you got DK for, and not had to do anything to get it. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't have even had to give up draft picks because those guys were getting released. So that's what I mean. Like, you could have saved money, saved your draft capital, and had a more effective receiving core. Like, I mean, it just didn't make a ton of sense to me.
But your plan was too boring. That's the real problem. DK is a splash.
No, I don't know. I like dubs.
Yeah.
I'm weird that way. Like,
well, you're just too logical. That's your problem, Joe.
I mean, I don't know if it's logic. It's just like I want a roster that I can win with.
Yeah. Sorry, you're just not a good team builder.
Yeah, well, that's fair. That's fair.
Look, Bo's over here trying to build teams to win. We're trying to build teams to sell tickets. So, Bo, you're out of here, buddy.
I mean, there is that. That is the difference from the GM side and the owner side, right? The owner side is like, I want to make some money. The GM side is like, it'd be cool to win, though.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, except the Steelers are like, you can win 9 games.
9 games. Yes.
You're only allowed
no losing record. No losing record. Maybe 10 and a first round playoff loss, but that's as good as it gets right now.
Yep.
So, I don't know.
Man. It's ridiculous. So the NCAA does have some new rules coming out. And so some of the tweaks to it is the third overtime. It used to be that there was one timeout for every overtime. And now it's being changed to after the third one, there's one timeout for the rest of the game. And you're basically doing 2-point conversion tries.
Right.
And so that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I mean, 2-point conversion tries, you're not that far away. So, I mean,
they were already doing that. The 2-point conversion tries they were doing. The timeouts, I'm calling that the Kirby Smart rule because Georgia versus Georgia Tech, he called a timeout every single 2-point play that Georgia Tech did in their 6 or 7 overtime game. So that's definitely the Kirby Smart rule because, that's fine. Yeah, the 2-point ones I already didn't like because that's a lot on one play to win or lose. Now, we had our famous one in the Iron Bowl where we won on the 2-point, but it's just, they did that because LSU and Arkansas went 7 overtimes and they didn't like that. My problem with NCAA is they always change things to affect the one time that something happened. It's not like 6 and 7 overtime games were happening every year or every other year. There's a reason why it was a record. It happened once. Not like we never want this to happen again. Let's go to 2-point conversions. Then Georgia gets a long overtime game and they call timeout everyone. They're like, all right, we got to change that too. No more timeouts. I'm like, are these things really stuff that affects the game?
Well, I mean, but that's the problem with the NCAA in general is they are so reactionary that they overcorrect situations rather than just actually think about it and have a plan. I mean, that's the entire NIL transfer portal debacle that we have now.
Yes.
Is they're just like, oh, we see this, it's a problem, and they just overreact, and then now it's a bigger problem than it was, and now they have to try and figure out how to rein in, how that all works, which is, going to be a challenge, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you think of the NIL side, because if you're the kids getting the money right now, you don't want any of that to change.
Right.
You don't want the proposed salary cap or any of that, because right now whatever someone's willing to pay you, you take.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that's one reason why teams are spending so much, because they see it happening and they thought, a lot of teams are saying we're just double dipping until it comes in there. Yeah. My problem with the chefs, though, is they're fixing stuff that, what's their biggest problem in sports? Transfer portal, NIL. So what are we going to fix? Timeouts in the third overtime. Like, what?
Yeah.
How many games last year went to the third overtime and above? Like, not that many. And how many of them went like the Georgia Tech game? Probably one. Yeah. Where somebody called a timeout every single overtime. Okay? And guess what? They won. So, so you see why I did it. But you're fixing problems that aren't problems for 90% of
to use his analogy here, the problem is what they're doing is the plate comes out and it's cold, and rather than just heating it up, they're like, oh, you think this is cold? Let's just throw a bunch of cayenne pepper on the top. So it's still going to be cold, but it's going to be spicy. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
No, at all.
So
several games with the 7, 8, or 9 overtimes. Yeah. It's like 5 or 6 games, it feels like. So, out of all the games, let's say 10, right? Let's fix the problem that may have happened in 10 games last year. So, I don't know. And yeah, that is absolutely true. The NCAA don't, because they gave up because, they were already kind of sliding into obscurity. The Big Ten and SEC have kind of flexed their muscles. So the NCAA has no control. Everybody was pushing for these things. Like I said, they just gave up. They said, all right, guys, do what you want. And now everybody realizes giving 18 to 20-year-olds, 18 to, in some cases 25-year-olds at this point, this much power was probably not the right idea. Because at 19, they're like, coach yelled at me, you know what, transfer portal. And that's what's happening now. So.
Oh, no question. Well, and then the NCAA obviously didn't have any control anyway when you have the college football playoff, where there were obvious issues with Michigan and stuff, and NCAA is like, this is a problem, we need to address it. And college football is like, yeah, we don't care. They still get to play as far as we're concerned. So NCAA doesn't even have any real power to do anything.
Right.
So now they've just put bad policies in motion and then have no ability to police anything else. So it's just kind of you knew the NCAA was going to fall apart,
right?
But man, we're watching it happen quick.
Yes. Yes. The sport is a mess right now. It is really an absolute mess, and people are getting to the point where, like, I don't even know what I'm rooting for. Like, I'll root for Alabama, but don't get attached to anybody, don't know what's going on. Arkansas has had to write in stuff into their contracts now about NIL buyouts for people leaving. And people are like, oh, we're getting closer to the NFL model. No, there's more rules in the NFL model than there is in college. So NFL teams, you don't get to the end of the season and then sit out the playoffs because you want more money, and your holdouts don't happen in year 1 and year 2. Like, hey, you get to the end of your rookie deal. All right, look, man, now I've overplayed my client. That's fine because owners have a lot of power. You can cut them. I get why they do it there, but
the biggest thing is when you sit out, what happens? You get fines and you don't get paid.
Yep.
Right. So those are the things that are missing from the NIL. Is it's like, oh, I'm sitting out. It's like, well, we already gave you all your money though, so we don't really have any recourse.
Yeah.
Like, if anything, if you're gonna go this route, make it pay to play, right?
Yeah.
Like, you got to at least be on the active roster to get your pay.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not like the NFL where you get relegated to the practice squad and your pay goes away or anything like that. It's a 105 man roster. Like, if you're on the roster, you're on the roster.
Right.
So it's not like you have to get in and ball out or anything like that, but you do have to participate. And I think that's the thing that's really missing from this NIL deal is right now it's just you get all the money and then you just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Whereas I think it would keep people more accountable and actually want to play in the playoffs. And I mean, I don't know why people don't want to play in the playoffs anyway. Like, again, go try and win.
Yeah.
But it's
that one is crazy. If I spend the whole year with you, like we're getting to the end. And look, they've even made a thing. The transfer portal starts in December. We get that and ends early, right? But if you're in a playoff game, you have until, 5 a week after the playoff game to enter the portal. There's no rush. Play with your team, do all this stuff. If you've just decided that you can't do this anymore with this team, that's fine. But I don't get it. I don't get the rush to jump off a team. I don't get the guys who are doing it halfway through the season or 4 games into a season. Like, there's just no fighters anymore. Now it's like, a little diversity. I'm good. I'm out of here.
No, that's what's so frustrating. It's just like, man, you used to have to take that to get better, earn your spot. Right. So like there was.
Well, I'm sure you've been cussed out many a times, growing up in football.
Oh, yeah. There were plenty of times where the face mask of my helmet was grabbed with the whistle on the helmet. Like, what are you doing?
Right.
Like, I mean, and you take those moments and you get better, right? Like you earn that starting role. Like, I don't know. I don't get the lack of fight. I don't get the lack of interest in trying to win a championship. Like, I think that's probably the weirdest thing to me. Is this just a byproduct of everybody gets a trophy or something? Because like winning it all was always the goal.
Yeah.
I mean, not just like, well, we won some games.
Yeah.
Like
but we got paid.
Fun, kind of. Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's weird to me. It's weird to me. And again, maybe because I'm mildly competitive, I have a different view of it, but like it just.
I'm with you though. I'm highly competitive, man. I want to win everything. And I don't want to be like, hey, all right, Bo beat me out this position. You know what I'm going to do? Go to another team. Can't do it. I'm like, what? No, I'm going to go out there. Me and Bo going at it. Like, I want to win this position. It just, it doesn't make sense to me. And then, they've definitely started trading off, the short term. You're trading off the long term to get the short term. Hey, let me go over here now. Who's going to pay me now? Okay, but you spent 2 years at this place and you're starting to move and develop, and now you're just jumping to another place where you're at the, wherever position now. Yeah, but I think the new coaches and totally new system will be great for me. No, it won't.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I even I can appreciate part of it, right? Where they're like, you know what? I'm trying to go get paid, whatever. I get it because of how few people make it to the league.
Right.
Right. So if you can get paid, like I understand that part of it. But if you are getting paid, but you're not getting the start, that's on you.
Yeah.
Right. Like get better at your craft. Like that's what you're supposed to be doing in college anyway.
Yeah.
Whether it's your education or on the football field or you're supposed to be getting better while you're there. Yeah. So if your first thing to do is tuck the tail and run, man, it's just, I don't know. I'm not a fan. Like realistically, it seems like it would be very easy for them to just have one portal opening after the championship and before the spring game. Then you salvage your spring games. You don't have to worry about other teams poaching your guy. You don't have to worry about guys leaving first part of the actual season. You don't have to worry about them sitting out through the playoffs. Like it seems like an easy fix. I don't know.
It is.
I don't know why.
They move back the early signing period to Jet. The reason why they do it is because the early signing period is also there in December. So guys are trying to jump out there and get to their new teams before their teams are filled up with high school signees. Yeah, move it all back and let's make it after the actual school year is over and make all of your NIL deals through the whole year. Hey, if we make a bowl game, you got to be there. Make a playoff, you got to be there. Whatever. But yeah, I don't get any of it.
Man, I don't know. It's a mess. It's a mess. I hope they get it figured out. I don't think they will. No. Not in the near future anyway.
My faith is low.
This thing's going to go to the 2 super conferences and then have a CBA, right? Yeah. Like it's going to become professional sports 100%.
Yep, I agree.
And you're not wrong.
Yeah. Oh, it's even worse with high. Like when I grew up, there wasn't kids transferring schools. Now, there's one of those stories. A kid played in 4 different high schools before going, and I'm like, and the thing is, at every level, somebody ignores that. The college is recruiting you based on talent, and if I'm the other guy on the college, I'm like, hey, Bo, that guy went to 4 different high schools, and you're like, oh, it's fine, he'll be loyal to us. What? He went to 4 different high schools,
exactly,
in 4 different states, Bo. Not, hey, his district was here, his parents moved. No, if you move once in high school because your dad's job or mom's job or whatever, okay.
Sure.
You go to 4 different high schools, yeah, you've been recruited. Like, come on, man. That doesn't make sense. But the college will ignore that because they think we just need to win. We just need to. He'll only be here 1 year. That's fine. We need to win the 1 year he's here. But you recruit disloyalty, and then you're surprised when the guy leaves you.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're doing it at the high school level, you're definitely doing it in college.
Oh yeah.
I mean, which means if you do make it to the league, it's going to be a rude awakening because you're going to go to a bad team, and you're there.
Yes.
Those contracts are far less forgiving.
Yes. You'll find out.
And then, one other rule change while we have a couple of minutes here, some verbiage changes to the challenges. So it's funny because it's going from upheld to overturned, right? Instead of confirmed and stands. And confirmed and stands actually gave you some information.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're like, okay, confirmed means you saw video evidence that they called it the right way. Stands means you couldn't tell we're going with what's on the field.
Right.
Now it's just upheld and overturned, which means we're not actually going to tell you if we saw something that supports our decision. We're just going to be like, we think it was, we made the right call.
Yeah. And Herb had a good argument. We're gonna go with it.
It just, I don't know. Like it was a change that didn't need to happen. So the NCAA is being consistent, at least.
Yeah. I'll tell you what is the 2 things they're changing, stuff that nobody is really gonna care about. Look, the announcers do enough talking and stuff when you're doing their replays, and they break down all that stuff. Oh, it's interesting. He said, no, it's not. I just want to know what the play call is, and can we move on? Don't care about his verbiage. Don't really care about that stuff. Hey, we're not changing. They could come out and say that. Hey, we're not changing the call. Let's go. And I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. Don't matter to me. Game's moving on.
So the one that actually does make sense that's coming out is, especially when you think of the last couple of years where there's been a lot of fake injuries in the last minute to stop the clock. Yeah. So now, if you have an injury, it takes a timeout. If you're out of timeouts, it's a 5-yard penalty.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden it is really hurting your team to fake these, injuries. And whereas before you got basically an extra timeout out of it. Right. And so strategically you got why they did it. This rule right here should limit most of that.
Yeah, I agree. And it was getting bad. I mean, like, not even faking it. Point. You're watching, and there's several. And sorry, Ole Miss, you're one of the most egregious ones, where the quarterback looks at the guy and points down, and the guy goes, "Oh, okay," and just is like this, and comes back in the next play. And you're like, "Come on!"
Well, and not even just that, but doesn't like get helped off the field or something. Pops up and jogs off. You're like, "Okay, come on,
man." And you see one of the trainers, "Hey, come back and fake it. Let me."
Right? Like, let's do the, at least sell it. Like, you clearly weren't in any drama classes or anything.
No. That was always my favorite. I'm like, oh.
Exactly. It's like, come on, man. What are we doing? Well, that does get us to the top of the hour. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. If you're watching on Roku, stay tuned for the next hour. Otherwise, we are going to get out of here. Take it easy, everybody.